yourself is to not take too much of account into your grades. I mean, obviously it's good to get good grades and you should all aim for that, but don't just start to define yourself by a number. There's a lot of other things that really do matter. So don't take so much of worry in that.
Okay, I'm Lulu, I'm a junior. I'm taking full diploma, so I have 6 classes, IB classes this year, and I'll have 6 IB classes next year. And my biggest piece of advice to my 7th grade self would be probably to learn to advocate for yourself. IB classes are really fast paced, and if you ever feel, especially like in an IB math or science, that you're falling behind or there's a part that we're reviewing from other math classes that you don't really remember, don't be afraid to go ask your teacher for extra worksheets, because most teachers are never reluctant to give you extra work. I mean, it's really, you're putting the work on yourself. It's not like they have to grade the extra work afterwards. So just be willing to do extra work if you really need it and push yourself as much as you really can.
Hi, I'm Megan. I'm not doing IB diploma. I'm only taking 3 classes, and I'm taking 1 test, so I'm doing this certificate. And my biggest piece of advice is a big thing I know in middle school and also when you get to high school is there's still a lot of group work. So definitely learning how to cooperate with others and being able to kind of take what they're taking, what they're contributing with a grain of salt. And not just, I know with me, with a lot of group projects, I just kind of like take the reins and I don't necessarily trust everyone. But I think a big thing is being able to trust that they'll do their work, because that's a big thing with IB, especially in block. We do a lot of just group discussions and group projects, so definitely learning to kind of trust their opinions but still be able to kind of filter that to what you think that you need.
Hi, I'm Larissa. I'm also doing the full diploma, so I took 1 sophomore year, 6 junior year, and I'm also taking 6 this year. And so I have a couple pieces of advice. The first would be, similar to Lulu, don't focus too much on your GPA. And like a lot of people say, you know, GPA isn't everything, but a lot of people still think that like your GPA is like really important and they focus all their time on that. You really need to kind of like find who you are, and I started liking learning for the learning through IB diploma, but you really need to just like explore what you love and not focus on your grades. And the second piece of advice would be to really start engaging and participating in all your classes. And like with all the IB classes, a key part of your grade is participation. And so you really want to raise your hand a lot, ask a lot of questions, and really show your teachers that you're really engaged, and gather that, and really build that network with your teacher, because they'll help you a lot later on.
Hi, I'm Alex, and I'll have taken 8 IB classes by the time I graduate. So I'm not full IB diploma, that'd be like 11 to 14. But the thing about IB, and what I would say to my 7th and 8th grade self is don't be afraid to love school. Don't be afraid to throw yourself into something and want to talk to your teacher and want to get involved to study with your classmates. Really take advantage of what you have. I think that's one thing we forget, that we can actually enjoy school and to get something out of it because we're there 6 hours a day. And the thing about IB diploma is that it really pushes you and it grows you as a person. The biggest thing I would say, especially some of my classes last year, it was just a family environment, and you wanted to be there every day. You wanted to be prepared. You wanted to be prepared and learn, and you began to love it. And so that's where the good grades come from. So I would say don't be afraid to love school, and don't be afraid also not to be an IB diploma candidate, because that gives you free time to do sports or do music and have dual passions along with school.
Hi, I'm Helen. I'm a senior and I'm also doing the IB diploma. So I took 1 sophomore year, 5 last year, and I'm taking 6 this year. I have 2 pieces of advice for if I were in 7th or 8th grade. My first piece of advice is to not just focus on school. Obviously, that's not something you want to do. You want to have an identity outside of school. You need to find not necessarily the passion that you want to pursue for the rest of your life, but like to have a hobby, an escape, something that you are willing to do and can help you balance the stress in your life. I know a lot of people who have just focused on school, and now that school's almost over, they just don't really know what to do with themselves. So you don't want to be that person. My second piece of advice is to not be afraid of failure. I know that a lot of you young kids have high expectations of yourselves already, and that's not, like, obviously it's good to put pressure on yourself, but just know what your limits are and don't be afraid to fail, because every failure is just another road to success.
Hello, my name is Alexander, and I'm also a senior taking IB diploma. And I think, first of all, what I would say to my 7th or 8th grade self is, don't fail 8th grade English and history, first of all. Second of all, it's a true story. And second of all, don't be in the very bottom math class and then have a bunch of catching up to do online throughout high school. I mean, that did prepare me for IB diploma, but you know, it's good to just, you know, talk to other people, know what you should take to have like your classes be least stressful as possible. And also, if you talk to a lot of IB diploma students, they will complain a lot and they will talk about how they had to drop out of hobbies and everything. I think the main thing about succeeding doing IB diploma or IB classes in general, it's not really the time management, but when you do your work, I mean, try to not be distracted and do like as much per minute as possible, so then you can actually have free time. Like, I have several hobbies and I still do athletics at the same time as IB, and it's not very difficult for me.
Hi, my name is Eddie. I'm a junior and I'm taking 6 IB classes this year. I'm an IB diploma candidate. And what I would say to you guys is to not be scared to take IB diploma, to take 6 IB classes, because as Alexander said, it's really not that hard if you focus on your work when you do it. And really you have a lot of resources around you. All the kids in your class are going to be like intelligent people now, so you're going to have them to, not that they were before, you can rely on them, and obviously the teachers are very helpful. And another thing I would say is that throughout IB, a lot of the classes are not just focused on knowing facts. A ton of the part in every IB class is being able to discuss. So I would start practicing that now, like being able to talk in front of people and in discussion, and start to build that confidence up.
Hi, I'm Shreyas. I'm also a junior taking diploma. So I'm taking 5 this year and 6 next year. And the one thing that I would say to my 7th or 8th grade self is probably just to focus on, like, even though in IB diploma you have mainly group work, you also need to know how to teach yourself and kind of be an independent learner, because up to 10th grade, the teachers pretty much like show you what you have to do, and they're really easy on you. But then once you get into diploma or even the more challenging classes, you kind of have to find your own way into what you're learning. And if you know that, then it becomes a lot easier.
Okay, all right. So we're going to open the floor to questions. Kids and adults, both kids and adults can ask questions. You can ask questions of these students or of me. And you might want to ask them some of these questions. So why do you do the IB? What do you do other than the IB? Describe the workload and your time commitment. What do they think is most rewarding? What do they think is most challenging? Or you might have other questions. So it's perfect. You can ask any question that you want. Don't ask them a question about college admission or a question that's really for the coordinator or the counselor, because they can't answer those questions. Ask them questions they can answer. So who's got a question? Who wants to start us off? How about you?
So, how can you take IB classes in sophomore year?
Oh, does anybody want to explain that? That question was, how can you take IB classes sophomore year?
The only IB class that you can take as a sophomore is IB Mathematics, and some people actually take that as a freshman if they are qualified for that.
Accelerated.
IB Math, Mathematics, not Math Studies, is as HL, it's a 3-year course, and as SL, it's a 2-year course. So most people start IB Mathematics 1 their sophomore or junior year, having taken Algebra 2 their freshman or sophomore year. And so that's how the progression works. And if you take
IB Math 1 your sophomore year, you usually end up taking IB Math 2 your junior year, and then sometimes IB Math 3 your senior year.
Yeah, so the IB-MM1, IB Math 1 is the only IB class allowed for sophomores. So yeah.
Can you just are you going to take the standard level on the junior year or senior year?
Usually students would take the standard level test junior year and or the higher level test senior year. Okay, another question, let's see, where is it? Is there a kid with a question? Any kids have questions? Wait, where? I can't see. Oh yeah, you in the purple.
Is it possible to take all IB classes but not do the diploma?
Wait, say that one more time.
Is it possible to take all IB classes but not do the diploma?
Oh, anybody want it? Lulu? Go ahead.
Okay, I personally didn't choose to do this, but my sister also did certificate for all 6 classes, took every single test, basically she just didn't take TOK, her extended essay, and her class hours. So if you really want to go and do the work and go through all classes and not do the diploma, you can, no problem, no one's going to stop you. But I would consider doing it if you're going to take all 6 classes anyways, just because there are only 3 more extra steps and you can get more college credit if you did take the full diploma. But I understand if you don't want to take those 3 extra steps, it's not a huge deal. I mean, she still goes to UW Honors and she's doing amazing things still, and she didn't do a diploma, so you'll still be fine.
Okay. Let's see. How about in the back, sort of right there? You, yeah.
Do you not get college credit unless you finish the whole thing? Like in, AP? I had to take those classes once I took them in high school.
You don't get the college credit unless you actually take the exams at the end.
But each individual class, if you take the exams,
Yes, and most colleges only offer credit for higher level courses. Especially if you're not taking IB diploma. Some colleges will offer credit for standard level courses if they're part of a diploma. But most colleges only offer credit for higher level classes. They can be taken separately or as part of the diploma. Okay, yes. Yeah.
For those of you who did take math in your sophomore years and started it earlier, how hard was it to wait to take the exams?
Oh, well, they haven't taken, wait, are you talking, the ones who took it sophomore year?
So, how hard is it for you to wait then from taking the class sophomore year to take it as a junior or senior? Is there a lot? Yeah.
Well, I haven't taken the exam yet, but I know that the higher level exam, it mainly covers SL and HL and not really anything that we learned in sophomore year. So you don't really test on that.
Yeah, there is no test after the first year of IB Math.
Right.
There's only a test after the second year and it covers the first 2 years. So there is no test after the first year. Does that make sense? Okay, anybody in the back that's got a question? Yeah, way back there, can you shout it out?
Yeah. As somebody who's not familiar with the program, all I've heard about IB is stress and I've watched the friends keep going through it and they have no life outside, so what's your reaction to that? And also, how many hours homework do you do a night in the IB program? What time do you do
I think most people want to answer this. I'll be brief. The thing about IB diploma is it causes a lot of stress, and it also depends what kind of person you are. I'm kind of a type A, so it causes me a lot of stress personally, but it forces you to time manage, to be involved in school, paying attention 100% of the time. It makes you a better student if that's what you want your end goal to be. There's a lot of value in it. It creates a community for you. And I would like to say I have a life outside of school. I'll have had 9 sports seasons. I have a job. Like, there are a lot of other things you can make time for. It's really time management. And hours of work a night, I had probably 4 to 5 last year, but I took time during lunch sometimes or different things like that. And this year it's a lot less, and I have 4 IB classes. So it just depends on you as a person.
Can I just say that as IB students, we are very prone to letting out our frustration through complaining, and we tend to exaggerate when we complain. So when we say that we have no life, that isn't necessarily true. I know that most of us, yeah, we have each other, and most of us, most of us have a lot of free time outside of school, and if you don't, it's kind of up to you to make that time. So as far as homework, last year I maybe spent like 2 hours max every night doing homework. It's really based on how well you manage your time, and this year I have maybe like half an hour of homework every night, but sometimes you procrastinate and you get like 7 hours, so I mean,
Are you talking about per class or?
Okay, so I also have something to say about this. Like what you put into the IB diploma is what you will get out of it. And so like I think personally, I think that like most of the stress that people have is from like comparing their own like grades and everything to other people's in the IB diploma. And like stress over like hearing about, you know, how one person did really good and then you have to like compare yourself to them. And so like most of the stress is caused by that because there is social media and we do like talk about like what grades we get on Facebook and everything. And so like a lot of the stress is caused by that. It's not by like how much homework we have or anything like that. So I mean like you really do get what you put into it. And like if you enjoy your classes, then you won't be stressed at all.
I also want to add that if you have no life, and you have a lot of stress, I feel like having, again, quote unquote, no life, creates that stress. At least for me, when I do like leave, I do have a job as well that involves exercise, so it's kind of like a multitask type of thing. But when I do leave to go to work, I seem to be less stressed. So I feel like having those activities to kind of take your mind off of the homework and the stress has really helped me. Even though it does take up some of your time to do your homework, at least in IB, they give you, at least in block, they give you your homework like a week in advance. So you can plan for things, and it's very easy to kind of get your mind out of what's going on and really like at least for me, my job really takes my mind off of things, and it really helps with my no life, having something to kind of like let my stress out with.
And then just adding on, I have a job and I work a minimum of 3 days a week, and I still manage to be a major member of every club I've ever been a part of at Skyline. So I feel like if you have stress, it's probably not the IB itself creating stress, but you worrying about too much about the IB. Like the IB is not a monster at the end of the day. It's just homework and a couple signatures on a piece of paper and how much effort you want to put into it. It really shouldn't be taking up your whole life, because part of the IB is pass hours, which requires you to have a life. So I don't really know how you could be doing both at the same time. But I would say I probably have on average 4 hours of homework a night. But I also like to watch Kardashians. I do my homework, so probably only 30 minutes, but it's quite likely my own fault. It takes me that long.
Okay. Yes. First of all, we IB students have a tendency to go on Facebook and complain, which means that I'd say on average about an hour of complaining in like Facebook groups, or more than an hour, just complaining about what you have to do without actually doing it. So again, that goes back to the whole time management thing. Personally, I have probably between an hour and an and a half of homework every night, and that is including like, you know, those days where it's really bad, and then you have a lot of days where you don't do anything. And I also manage to have a full-time hobby at the same time. I don't have a job, but you know, I just go in the shop every day, and it's not that much.
Okay, one or two more on this. I know you all want to talk about it, but I'll let two more people talk about this. Okay, you go ahead.
Okay, so I'd just like to say I've been rowing for 3 years now, and I've been rowing while doing my IB classes. And like Megan was saying, it really helps take your mind off of stuff and helps you manage your time, and because you're going to need to know how to manage your time in college. So being able to do other things while taking those classes is extremely vital. Okay, and I'm part of mock trial, and I'm a 3-time junior Olympian qualifier for ski racing. And so being able to manage as well as doing classes not only will help you during high school, but it'll help you building off of high school. So if you the common kids you'll see around, running around, freaking out about their grades and classes, usually aren't supplementing some type of other form of activity outside of school, and they're in this own little bubble of school that they don't have time to just take a deep breath and let go of things and just go for a run. And even going for a run for an hour or 2 after, 2 hours is kind of long, for an hour after school, an hour after school can really just give you a good break. And you know, if you say that you don't have a life, then you need to rethink what you're doing and rethink why you're doing it.
Okay, last one on this topic.
The one last thing that I wanted to say was, I know that in middle school and in 9th and 10th grade, especially me, like I wanted to be that one person who kind of did everything, like doing all the extracurricular activities. But then once you get to the point where you think the stress is actually getting to you, you need to learn to find that one hobby that you actually really enjoy. And you need to learn to prioritize that over everything else, because it's the only way that you'll actually enjoy yourself while you're learning and not worry too much about all the work that you have to do. So prioritization is kind of key to preventing that.
Okay, who's got a, yes, right there in the middle.
Yeah, I'd just like to know what you enjoy the most out of the program. What do you like the best?
I would like to say the environment and the community that you're in, with everybody striving to be smarter and getting better, and not only teachers caring about what they do, but just students around you participating and having a general enjoyment of the class is what I really liked. Because I remembered in middle school and even some of my freshman level classes, there was always about 25 to 50% of the class that wasn't really engaged and involved in caring about the subject. But I felt moving into IB, and even the teachers and the students, they have a true enjoyment and they want to get better and they want to learn. And that environment really helped me motivate myself to get better. And I also feel like it motivates students around me to get better as well.
Okay, so I love doing my extended essay, and that's because, you know, when I chose the right topic, I chose physics, and because I'm very into aerodynamics. So I actually enjoy doing that, so I highly recommend doing an extended essay because it's a 4,000-word essay with a lot of research and a lot of work into it. You don't want to be doing it on something that you don't really care about.
I learned two things that I like the most about the IB program. The first thing is that at first I realized that I was going to be like afraid of competition amongst other intelligent people, but it wasn't just about that. It was a competition of how much sleep you get. So you wake up in the morning, you go to school, and you're like, dude, how much sleep did you get? And that person got 4 hours, and I got 5 hours. It feels so good. it's a matter. No, it's just it actually feels good. Like you got more sleep, you actually manage your time. It's not just about like how much you procrastinate. It's just if you get more sleep, you know you're doing something right. And the other thing is when you go into class and you actually want to learn something, you raise your hand up, and teachers will tell you. It's just not like it's the yes or no answers from teachers. When you ask a question, they actually again to go in deeper, and you learn more things from it. That's why I like physics, and I've taken a higher level in physics right now. And whenever I ask questions, my teacher always asks questions again. Why do I want to know about it, and like what leads you to that? And then I try to learn it through myself, like a self-study, rather than when the teacher just gives you an answer to it.
For me, I really liked theory of knowledge, and you might hear a lot of IB diploma kids complaining about theory of knowledge, but I actually find it really enjoyable because it really makes you think. And you know, our teacher asks us, she gives us like a question every day to discuss, and they're questions like, what is memory, or like, what is math? Is math invented or discovered? And like questions like that really make you think. And it's kind of a no judge zone, and so you can respond whatever you want, and like no one will judge you, and it's just a place. It's basically like a huge Socratic seminar every day, and so I really like it.
I think my favorite thing about IB is the level of specificity and the ability that you can connect anything, likely any subject, to what you enjoy doing. I know that in the G4 project, which is a science project, you can connect it to your hobby, which might be a sport. And I know in the math subjects, you can connect your internal assessment to whatever subject you pick. So you have the ability to connect to things that you think are really important, and I think that's very evident in IB.
Anybody else want to answer that one? Down at that, oh, go ahead. We'll take like a couple more people.
I think that my favorite thing about IB, one of it just happened today, is how you get so into a subject that it seems kind of crazy that you are like yelling to about people about things that don't affect you. So like today in my IB history HL class, Mr. Rosemont, our history teacher, comes in, he's like, okay, you have to choose what's gonna happen in Cuba. Are we gonna nuke them? Are we gonna go to full-on war? Or are we just gonna do a blockade? And most of our class was like screaming at each other. Like, that's the thing with IB. People, you can't go into IB and just sit in a corner and take notes and think you're gonna have fun or succeeded in it. It's more like you need to be passionate about the subject and want to know more. And it's really great that in IB, you'll see kids who are willing to do things that might seem weird to others, and it just seems normal.
So I have two. I have two favorite things about IB. The first would be, like Will said, how involved you get and how engaged you are. I've had the experience where I'm trying to teach my parents stuff. They're like, no, you're wrong. I'm like, I learned this today. Especially in, like, I'm really into chemistry and higher level chemistry, and then the first ever higher level psychology class, which is pretty cool. And then the other thing I enjoy is that the teachers and the students are there because they want to be. I had one of my teachers tell me, he told me, Molly, I teach IB because I know that you guys want to be here. I don't want to waste my time teaching people who don't care. And that's a lot of the students there are there because they want to, and you don't have the time with all the kids goofing off in class.